This race could not be higher.
It turns out perhaps they could be, particularly for Vice President Kamala Harris.
That's right. That's right.
Those chants of 4 more years suddenly ringing a bit differently for a vice president at the center of a crisis consuming the White House and President Biden's re-election campaign. As the Democratic chorus grows louder for Biden to step aside a week after his fumbling debate performance, Harris is at the center of it all, playing the role of loyal running mate.
Joe Biden is our nominee. We beat Trump once, and we're going to beat him again, period.
Even as she privately considers whether she'll soon have to pick one of her own if Biden passes the Democratic torch 4 months before Election Day. But that remains a big if, with signs of a Biden-Harris ticket suddenly not so obvious after all. Harris is in something of a historic holding pattern, leading the charge in defending the president moments after the debate to Anderson.
I got the point that you're making about a 1.5-hour debate tonight. I'm talking about 3.5 years of performance in work that has been historic.
A careful balancing act of proving loyalty, yet trying to maintain credibility. Her future is at the heart of a conversation among Democrats, where respect may run deeper than consensus over the party's next steps.
I think she's a talented woman and someone who should be in the mix, but this is not a matter of just passing the mantle to her.
If Biden makes the decision to step aside, senior Democratic advisors tell CNN, he is expected to immediately throw his support behind Harris and ask delegates to do the same. Former presidents and party leaders will be asked to follow suit in hopes of avoiding a contentious fight. A more open race, advisors hope, would be for Harris's running mate, with a focus on leading Democratic governors. Harris has long taken a leading role in prosecuting the case against Donald Trump.
Let us be very clear about who is responsible. Former President Trump handpicked 3 Supreme Court justices because he intended for them to overturn Roe.
A new CNN poll finds Harris within striking distance of Trump in a hypothetical matchup, 47 to 45%, a race within the margin of error with no clear leader. Harris's stronger showing against Trump is built upon her standing with women. 50% of female voters back Harris over Trump, compared to 44% for Biden against Trump. And among independents, 43% backing Harris, just 34% for Biden. As we talk to voters like Maureen Glenn in Wisconsin, Harris's name often comes up when Democrats express concern about Biden's age.
Even if something were to happen to Biden, I have every faith in Kamala Harris, and I think that Biden or Kamala Harris has a sense to follow a qualified and good cabinet of leaders, and as a team that they can run the country well.
Vice President Harris is literally waiting in the wings should President Biden make a decision to step aside. Of course, that is his choice alone to make. But the campaign is called the Biden-Harris campaign for a reason. She's been raising money for it. She, in fact, owns half of it. So the political infrastructure and campaign war chest is hers should she become the Democratic presidential nominee. Jeff Zeleny, CNN, Washington.
Well, it's Independence Day in the United States, ahead of what could be a day of reckoning for President Joe Biden. He met with dozens of Democratic governors at the White House last night, telling them he's staying in the presidential race. Mr. Biden is fending off growing pressure to drop out after his debate performance in Atlanta last week. The governors who spoke publicly expressed support for the president. In a radio interview, he tried to downplay the damage.
Any reason for the American people to be concerned?
No, I had a bad debate.
Yeah.
I had a bad debate. But 90 minutes on stage does not erase what I've done for 3.5 years. Proud of the record, and we just got to keep moving.
CNN Politics senior reporter Stephen Collinson joins me now. I mean, he's sounding so confident. I guess he has to if he's going to stay in the race. But the Democratic convention, I think, is coming up in just over a month. What do you expect to happen between now and then? I mean, can he be replaced technically?
He could be replaced. It would be messy, but up until about 50 years ago, candidates were picked at Democratic and Republican conventions. So it's not impossible. The infrastructure and the history is there. Changing the presidential candidate at this late stage, however, just 4 months from the election, which is an eternity in lots of countries like Britain, for example. You could hold 2 elections in that time, but as we know, American elections are very prolonged. It would be difficult, but not impossible. But I think we're coming up to a point, Max, over the next few days, when if the president is going to shore this up, it has to be now, because there is not a great deal of confidence among Democrats about the way the White House has handled the aftermath of this crisis, let alone the showing that the president put on the debate. He's saying that 90 minutes doesn't erase what's happened over the last 3.5 years, and that's true. But what voters have consistently said for the last 2 years to pollsters is they're worried about the next 4 years. Is the president up to serving another term in the White House that would end when he is 86? That's his problem, not what he's already done.
If the governors don't have much joy convincing him, the other place we can look is, of course, where the money's coming from, and that's the donors. What's happening there?
So, if we believe what we're hearing from the campaign, the fundraising has been pretty robust since the debate. The president does have an excellent fundraising operation. We generally only get good figures at the end of the month or the end of a 3-month period. But if it turned out that confidence started to ebb in the president and his fundraising started to tail off, that would be, as you say, a very dangerous metric for him. I think if he gets more bad polling, we're beginning to see some polls coming out now that show he was hurt by his performance. And it's not just that, he's trailing Trump, and candidates sometimes get a bounce from debates like Trump may be experiencing now that then gets stabilized. The president was behind in this race. It was very close, but he was behind. The debate was his best chance to change the scope of this election, to put the focus on Donald Trump and what he says is the extreme threat that he poses to democracy and the American way of life. All anybody has been talking about over the last week is Biden's capacity and acuity, and that is not good for his campaign at all.
Okay, Stephen Collinson, really appreciate that. Thank you.